On December 31st of 2018, I ripped out a blank sheet of notebook paper and scrawled down everything that I wanted to accomplish in the next 12 months with a thick red marker. On the front, I made 2 boxes, one for a daily schedule and the other for a weekly schedule. On the back, I created a list of bullet points explaining the importance of each individual goal that I wanted to reach. One of these goals was to learn to play the piano. Now, the song that I wanted to learn on the piano was complicated enough that I thought it would be difficult, but not impossible, which is why I chose it to start. I began to practice twice a week, 20 minutes per day, and I learned to play the first 5 measures of the song confidently. I was making good progress in my playing. And then I stopped. I haven't practiced the piano in 3 months. I've started to avoid the keyboard that I have set up in my room by piling papers on top of it so that I don't have to look at it anymore. I haven't touched the keys since August. I'm not sure if I can remember how to play what I've already learned. It's been so long since I last practiced. Now that I have a month left to finish my goal, I'm forced to acknowledge the fact that I am nowhere near where I wanted to be at the beginning of the year. I haven't accomplished what I wanted to, and as a result, I feel like I've let myself down. I feel like I failed. Why did I stop playing? When did practicing twice a week become too daunting of a task for me to handle? Why has my goal slipped out of my fingertips? It took me a while, but I was able to find answers to those questions. Those first 3 months at the beginning of the year when I was practicing regularly, I was able to track my own progress. I could see myself getting better every time that I played, and this progress is what made me excited to continue. After the first week, I could read notes faster. After the second week, I could play faster. After the third week, I could play the first couple measures of the song confidently. This progress is what motivated me to continue. I improved the most during those first 3 months simply because I had the most to learn. And it was difficult learning the introduction of the song, but it was fun because it was new. And then I had to learn the middle of the song, and that's when things got tricky. Because my goal was no longer start to learn. My goal became finish the song. After a while, it got a lot harder to track my own progress simply because I was progressing slower. I was no longer going from level 1 to level 2 in a matter of days. I was stuck between level 2 and 3 for weeks. And those weeks turned into a month, and that month turned into 2 months. I was still learning challenging content, but I wasn't learning as much of it. Instead of feeling like I was leaping over hurdles, I felt like I was keeping my head above water. That is when I began to feel like I was wasting my time, chipping away at a process that I could no longer see the end of. I began to feel like I wasn't progressing as fast as I should be, that I was falling behind my goal. The instant I felt like I couldn't see myself progressing, I felt like I was losing sight of success. In the beginning, I felt like I could see myself getting closer to succeeding at my goal. And then I felt like I wasn't, and so I lost my motivation to try. Learning to play the piano has frustrated me, but because of that frustration, I have learned something very important. I have learned what success isn't. Before I give away that secret, I want to make one thing clear. I do not know what it means to succeed as an adult. I'm not an adult, I'm a 16-year-old. I do have experience with success as a 16-year-old, as a student. I am 16. I have academic experience. But how can I know what success means outside of these realms when I'm not the head figure of a field that I'll hypothetically be in a decade or so from now? When I'm not retired and am able to look back on my entire life and say I am satisfied with what I've done to get here. That may sound a bit silly coming from a 16-year-old, but these are things that I do actually think about. I think about these things because I am exposed to success constantly. Not just from people that are decades older than me, but from my peers, even from those that are younger than me. I see people close to my own age doing the things that I want to do, and their success inspires me. But it also intimidates me. Because aside from practical things like career paths and retirement plans, I also think about everything that I have the resources to be doing right now, but that I am not. Why haven't I written a novel yet? Why haven't I started a business yet? Why haven't I saved the world yet? I see people like Greta Thunberg, a young environmental activist who grabbed the world's attention when she began to organize student strikes demanding action against climate change. Since August of 2018, she has received 7 awards for her activism, including the International Children's Peace Prize, the Fellow of the Royal Scottish Geographical Society, and the Ambassador of Conscience. She was named one of Time's 100 most influential people of 2019. Greta Thunberg is 3 months older than me. People like Greta mesmerize me with what they have managed to accomplish in such a short amount of time, and I want to be like them. I want to be like her. But the fact that I haven't accomplished anything close to what she has yet intimidates me. Because people like her can see what they want directly in front of them. But I can't. Greta Thunberg decided that the world was being too compliant towards an issue that threatens to ruin our planet, and so she built herself a platform with her own 2 hands that allows her to reach up and push the people with power to do something about it. I haven't done anything like that yet. Why? What makes us so different? I want success. And I want influence. But most of all, I want to see proof of my efforts with my own 2 eyes. But success isn't immediate. I tell myself this over and over again, that every destination has to be reached with individual steps forward. In order to run a marathon, you have to train for it. In order to paint a picture, you have to start with a sketch. After all, Greta Thunberg had to sit alone outside of Stockholm, Sweden's National Legislative Building every day for 3 weeks in protest of climate change in order to motivate millions, and I mean millions of people to protest alongside her. I understand that big goals require small achievements. But that isn't what my brain wants to hear. My brain doesn't want to take into account the long term. It just wants instant gratification. It doesn't want to see the single page of writing that goes into a novel. It wants to see the hardcover published book. It doesn't want to play the first measure of a song over and over again until it understands the introduction. It wants to play the entire composition perfectly all at once. And when my brain doesn't get the instant gratification that it desires, it gets frustrated. And I'm convinced by it that I am achieving nothing. and then I don't want to try anymore. But that just means that I have to trick it. I have to trick my brain into thinking that I am succeeding. I said earlier that I thought I failed my initial goal because I haven't learned the song that I said I would know by now. But that isn't true at all. Making those small baby steps forward towards a greater goal was success. By starting, I succeed. I continue to succeed when I continue to try. I may not know the song I said I would know by now, but I still have a month before December comes along and the new year starts again. And after that, I have the rest of my life because 2019 is not the only year in which I can learn to play a song on the piano. I may not know what success looks like in the grand scheme of my entire life yet. But I do know one thing. I know what success will never be. And here's that secret I mentioned earlier. Success is not a time slot. Success is not an object. Success is not temporary. While we can fail, while we have failed, and while we will continue to fail as long as we are living and breathing, we cannot fail at succeeding. That's how I trick my brain. How can I be doing badly if doing anything means that I'm doing great? Suddenly, learning to play a song on the piano changes from frustrating to the point where I want to give up, to a game that I have already won simply by participating. A game that I will get really good at if I keep playing it. So, I flip a switch. I change up some words. And suddenly, success is no longer the reward at the end of the finish line that I can't see yet. Success is the footsteps I make one after the other. It's the pressure squeezing my lungs that makes it hard to breathe. It's the stamina I had to build so I could stand at the start. Success is no longer the distant future. Success is the process I'm using to get there. And suddenly, I want to play the piano again.